I'm appalled that our governor would spend millions and millions and millions of our tax dollars to go and try to save 50, 60 people from Israel, and at the same time not allow any Palestinian Americans to find refuge here. As a Christian, I follow Jesus, who is a Palestinian, who in my scriptures at the age of 2 had to flee because of the killing of innocent children. He fled to Egypt. He was a Palestinian refugee. For my Christian colleagues and anyone who professes to follow Jesus, please do not talk to me about making room for Jesus in your heart if you cannot make room at this time in this space for the Palestinian who needs our help and our safety. It is incumbent upon us all to be present with those who are marginalized and oppressed. And in this moment, in this time, we need to be present with our siblings who are experiencing this oppression to make sure that the ones that are here and our neighbors are safe, and the ones who need safety, that we advocate for them and make space.
Welcome everyone to the show, and I'm still bothered by a lot of things, but I'm moved that there's a large voices around the world for Palestine. And the time it is November 7th, 1:05 a.m. here on the west side. Right off the bat, my brother from another mother, Ahmed, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I see. Well, could be better. I see your James Bond in your vehicle.
Yeah, I had to park for this one.
Cool.
I was out and about in a meeting, and it's around 12:06 p.m. here. So say,
12:06 p.m.
11 hours ahead.
Yeah, so I had to do the math. I think we just had our daylight savings like a few days ago.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
Okay,
that's probably why things are a little
messed up. Like
yeah.
yeah, let's complicate things more.
I know, right? But unlike governments, we don't like complications. Actually, I don't even know what I'm saying with that. I was gonna make a dig, but yeah, when you messaged me, what, hour and a half ago, I took a nap, but I still can't sleep. This thing does bother me. A lot of things don't feel like they mean as much as they used to before. And
it's eye-opening. I know. It's we're seeing like the world in a different light now, right? Like I'm speaking in generality, right? In terms of the entire world. The Middle East, we know what's been going on. We know the reality of the situation. In terms of Israel, the Zionist Israel, we know them like the back of our hands. So it's now like the rest of the world is like realizing that shit, like evil can literally evil can exist in a nation state that was considered like a respectable nation in the eyes of maybe say 20 to 30% of the world. Yeah. So a lot of you're gonna see like what a lot of people are seeing now. We've been seeing for like, and I'll give another an example of that. I'm pretty sure you came across videos of Israelis actually like coming up with songs and like dancing and laughing at dead babies, right?
Yeah, I've been seeing of them sharing. It's like there's no secret, there's no hiding. It's like you know how like in these stories the bad guy hides and like he. They're doing he all over, like it's casual, and I don't know what propaganda can even attempt to hide that. There's like no shame. and it was like a few days. I lost track of time. Maybe like Friday or Thursday. I saw footage of a city nearby, whatever border, and they could hear the bombs dropping in Gaza. And I apologize for my pronunciation, man. I'm still saying Qatar when it should be Qatar, so bear with me, please. I'm unfucking a lot of my mind, So, oh no, we lost you. Oh, there you go. And I saw you could hear it on the videos, and everyone's laughing, cheering, and singing in praise and joy. Oh, this is just happening, and then we see the footage the following day of what happened. It's disgusting. It's like something you think is over dramatization. If we watch like a drama of prejudice, let's say like the drama Roots and the remake of Roots, it's like almost to the point where it's like, wow, I can't believe they're like that back in the day. We'd never be, and then here it is.
Oh, it's like right there
in Israel.
Yeah.
It's like
Now there was a. This is not the first time, by the way. There was a time where they were bombing Gaza, and but like Israelis actually with their like picnic chairs and their icebox went up to like the hill that overlooks Gaza, like, and they just set up there like it's like a
because on that hill,
outdoor theater.
Certain hills you can see over the wall that they have there, right?
Yeah. So they it happened before, and we yelled and screamed about it. Like we're like, this is, guys, like there's evil right there. They're like straight up like fucking monsters are there. Like, like it's sad that it took like actual like live footage of dead babies for a lot of people in the world to be like, wait, maybe there's something like up with this situation. Like, I don't want to laugh, but like it's just like, how like what's the saying, like you don't know if you're gonna want to cry or laugh.
Yeah,
like,
I understand because it's so shocking to
yeah.
And what's crazy is
like I'm thinking, I had this thing in my mind the whole time too. Like, how do I like? I like imagine, because if you were like involved in like Qatar and like the World Cup and whatever, like if you were like following that, the moment it was awarded, the World Cup awarded to Qatar in 2010, Western media was hitting hard, like going hard on Qatar, like workers, the main focus is the workers' conditions, right? The workers' conditions. And the way Qatar reacted was like, okay, we need to improve this. We recognize there was an issue with the workers' conditions. We need to ways to improve it. What to do? Work on like mechanisms, laws. Try to like the weakest one. Our weakest point is how we implement the laws. The laws are there. It's not like abuse the laborers, abuse the workers. No, like it's there's laws. It's just we're trying to figure out how to apply it, enforce it. We got organizations like international organizations now. That means shit, but like they've got international organizations to actually set up shop here to facilitate this, help the country, and make etc. So I was thinking, in this case, imagine, and instead of Qatar reacting that way, me, a bunch of my friends, a bunch of whatever, we started making songs and jokes about the life of a worker here,
like in mocking,
and just mocking and making jokes, and like we go through pictures of them like struggling whatever, and we just like laugh, and like, how would the West react? They would go nuts. They would go absolutely nuts. Like,
we would. It'd be more like, aha, we were right. They are horrible.
Yeah.
The Arabs, terrorists, blah, blah.
Now, like, you see Israelis doing that with not workers, not like about babies, dead, killed, murdered, and mutilated babies. Like how, like what kind of sick society is this? Like what this is how sick Zionism is, right? Like they trying their best to get Judaism in this. They because they know this is the best shield to have, right? If like saying like dragging Judaism in this would protect them from you know, people who like you know, criticize, and then they can just yell anti-Semite, you hate the Jews. So they did get this right, but like this has nothing. Like if they're telling us that genocide, if they're telling us genocide is the core tenet of Judaism, because if we criticize that, they call us anti-Semite, then you're not painting Judaism the right way. You're like being a cancer to this religion. You are a cancer to this religion. Now you're a cancer to this world. Zionism is a cancer to this world. Like, look, just think about it. Like, how I am getting desensitized by genocide because I'm seeing it every day. They are affecting the whole world, the psyche of the whole world. They are destroying humanity, literally. And like seeing Gal Gadot going on this tour, trying to go on this tour in the United States to
These screenings,
like a little screening like it's fucking Black Adam about like what happened in October 7th, and like it's trying
the
to
way it's
get
coming
like
across
people
to me
more.
sounds like is like a little Scientology thing. Like, come to this gathering. We're going to inform you of
Yeah,
this little culture that we're a part of, and this is what's really going on. Because she was in the occupational
you
forces,
don't need.
wasn't she?
Yeah,
That's the
no,
last I
she's
read.
Israeli. She's yeah,
Like 2
like
years.
I don't nothing out of Gal Gadot would surprise me around this, because she's Israeli. She comes from like that. So like whatever. Like what she would surprise me, and she did surprise me when she mentioned Palestinians once, as in like in a way that they're humans, slightly, that one time along like a while back, but that's obviously for the PR, like, you know. She
You
didn't
said
say like,
slightly.
oh, yeah, yeah. She didn't say it in a way like how we're talking about it, like, oh, we need to like, you know, stop the genocide, ceasefire, whatever. Like, oh, that cop out shit, like, oh, all like we care about all lives, you know, that kind of shit. It's just all like a you know, just PR and like image Hollywood image shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's if you're gonna do that, right? If you're gonna go on a tour and showing a movie, you have to make a movie, and I'm pretty sure the budget is high, right? Because Zionists, the budget is high, Hollywood supported. It's gonna be like nice soundtrack, like you know, editing, great editing. If you're gonna go through all that to kind of try to tell your side of it, then there's something really like wrong with like there's so much suspicion on what the Israeli narrative is this whole time. We don't like Palestinians. They don't need movie. They don't need a movie. They just need someone brave enough on the ground with a phone. That's it.
And we had that
That's
with
it. Literally,
Motaz.
that's it.
We had that with journalists who are, thank God, are still alive doing it. Like Motaz, the photographer.
Yeah,
If I'm saying his right name right.
yeah. You know,
That
it's
guy.
it's
That guy's
scary.
a
It's scary.
Superman. I pray for him every day. All those people.
Yeah. Like you got a guy whose family got just like killed, and then the next day he's like, that's how much they want to like, how much they want to show the truth, right? Because they know how powerful the truth is.
Mm-hmm. And
They
I
don't
think
need
that's
AI,
why.
fucking AI.
Mm-hmm. I think that's
And they
why
don't
the
need the
Israelis know the truth is so powerful, because they go through such lengths to alter it,
yeah,
but to
yeah,
just the side that they need, which is America right here, and other foreign powers like UK and what, Germany, France.
yeah, yeah. But I've they keep you know I don't know if you noticed, like if whenever it comes to like uh and they stopped doing that for a while, but like at the beginning they're like this publication has confirmed they saw the pictures of whatever, and they determined it was authentic,
Hmm.
right? I like we know, like I said earlier, we know Zionist Israel so well. If any of it is real, if they have it, they would have plastered it all over. They would have, it would be on loop. Everyone would have seen this. Everyone would like, and CNN would have it. Like they wouldn't rely. They wouldn't rely at all at CGI, AI, or just like trust me, bro, fucking approach.
Because a
That's
lot of
what
it
Israel has
is
been doing the whole time.
verbal.
Just trust me. Yeah,
Like
yeah. We do have it. We do have it. But we'll we can't like why you're willing to show a dead baby, like burnt baby, but you're not like willing to like, this is all a lie. There like there's so much they're like hiding, they're manipulating, like they're trying to get the public in this genocide as much as they can. They're losing it. They can't. They're seeing that people like our majority are like, fuck, like you're lying. So now they're gonna do a fucking test screening. Like I don't know. It might get more like I don't know positive reviews than Aquaman 2. I don't know. But like it's ridiculous. This is how much Zionism is entrenched in American culture and pop culture and politics, and
Hmm.
people are waking up to it now. Good, at least they are waking up to it now. If we used to, when we
Yeah.
used to say that, they would call us anti-Semitism. You hate Jews. When we used to say that, no, no, we have no problems with Jews. We've never had problems with Jews, right? As
There
much
was a
as they
point
they
where
they
everyone's kind of chilling too and gelling, right?
yeah, yeah.
And then what happened?
There are Palestinian Jews. Palestinian,
Well, I
they
believe
have
it.
existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
when I see all these protest videos that have been around for years, actually, it's not like out of nowhere. I
yeah,
think the boom
no,
of awareness is beautiful and happening. Uh, I still I just wish it happened sooner. The thing is,
yeah,
a lot of Jewish rabbis, and you see the same guys still protesting for a free Palestine.
yeah,
And like some of the videos
yeah,
I've shared in clips, and they've been breaking down how Judaism is this, but what they're doing with Zionism is totally opposite and almost like atheistic, if that's a word.
yeah, yeah. It is
And it's so
because being
shocking.
you
It's
don't
like
need to
the
be a
biggest uh it's like a counterfeit what am I trying to say? Like almost like a counterfeit race card to throw down as an excuse to do atrocities or get away with it or
Mhm.
blame. Oh no, it's so. Ugh. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, no, like it's they keep trying to get to link Zionism to Judaism for just a pure like ironically they're using Judaism as human shields, right? Like they projection like much, right? So there's anyone can be a Zionist,
I'm
It's
starting
been
to believe
proven
it
that anyone can be a
because
Zionist.
some of the supporters I've heard because
There are Arab Zionists. There are Arab Zionists too. There are Arab Zionists in this region.
huh.
I don't want to get too into it now, but they exist. So like it can't. It doesn't mean like Zionism. Like what Nikki Haley, whatever her cunt face name is, when she's like, yeah, anti-Zionism equals to anti-Semitism. You know, like fuck off. No, that's fucking bullshit. That's
Yeah, from listening
Zionism.
and reading up on rabbis and what they say and think about this. Yeah, I don't think Zionism is at all anything to do with Judaism. Their
It's not.
actions on the daily look like they break like at least 3 commandments, at least on the daily.
It's like the major ones, right? The
Yeah,
commandments that
the big, you
that
know,
define
thing that they
a
have
human.
on
Like
the pedestal.
you're okay, human. Yeah, yeah.
It's like, do you even read that? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's so frustratingly painful, and the painful thing is how obvious it is out there. You know, like the Onion News,
Oh
that
yeah.
parody newspaper, and they do all this kind of crazy stuff, and then they go too far.
Yeah.
That started not being as entertaining when you see the real news being worse, and
Yeah.
it's not a joke,
Yeah.
and it's unfathomable, and like that's how I see what's going on with Israel. We can't. It's not all the people there, right? There's some people who are Israelis in Israel protesting for ceasefire and free Palestine. I've seen a few.
I've seen a few, but I've seen the fucking consequences of that. Like the shit
Yeah,
they go
because
through.
aren't they trying to pass a law
Yeah,
to
yeah.
shoot them on site, like their own people?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I've seen them brutalize like
they
rabbis even.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. They like really like like
really mean. These are
they
older guys.
for
and
that moment they treated them for that moment they treated them like Palestinians. For like that 30 seconds they treated them like Palestinians.
very
Like
violently. So it's
just for
like
them be like, yeah.
so it's if you could do that to your own people that you're claiming is holier than thou, why would you lay a hand on them in such a way? It's so shocking and so telling. It's just proving everything you guys have been saying.
It's not that Western secular happy like we inclusive state that it portrays itself to be. It's like not even close, not even like remotely close. It's like it's nothing so, like if you think about it, it's nothing special like compared to like those in historical sense, those like states or nations that go buck wild into their like supremacy and ethnic cleansing. It's they're pretty much the only difference is they have technology now to like better technology to do their like genocide and ethnic cleansing. Before it was just like machetes and swords and like camps, whatever. Now it's like they could do it with an Xbox controller, right? They're like so that's the only difference. They're not special. Like regular ass psychopaths with a ethno supremacy mindset. That's it. Like, we've seen it before.
When was the first time you saw this? Like, how old were you?
First time?
Yeah. When you saw like the extreme hatred and prejudice in action.
When I kindergarten. I'm trying to remember the moment I had that. You know, when like you're in life, when you start to recognize or like you have this awareness of the world, not like deep, but like just regular standard awareness.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the first thing that like kind of like came into my consciousness, like Palestine, what's happening in Palestine, and like I remember, like my dad had a book about the Intifada, and I was I was a kid. I was just going through it, like just seeing Palestinians throwing stone at tanks, and like look at the balance, right? Villagers throwing stones at tanks because they're trying to defend themselves, literally defend themselves from their homes being fucking stolen and killed and shit like that. So that, yeah, that's and then the shit we see every year. It's like insane. Like I think that the first time like the actual rage came into me because of this, like real like fucking anger and rage, was that moment where his name, like Al Durra, you probably came across him, where like it was in the news, like we got this like live shit. A father was hiding behind a rock or like an edge of a wall behind his son. Like his son is there and he's trying to protect his son, and like Israelis are just shooting, right? And he's like, no, like he wants to like he's trying to like say, stop, like it's just like it's him and his son, and they kept shooting until they killed his son. And then there's now like from this Gaza genocide, like his nephews and uncles are like dead, and you see like the father, like 20 years later. Like
Wow.
you see, like he's burying more of his family members. It's shit like it's a constant thing that it's been happening for so long, and it's like when I hear someone say, "Oh, like there needs to be forgiveness, Palestinians need to move on," shit like that. How can you move on from something that happened yesterday or something that happened a month ago?
And
You
continues to
can't
happen,
move
right?
on from like, yeah, it's they're like 75 years ago, whatever. Like they try to. This is how they play with the narrative to make it sound ridiculous that Palestinians are asking for freedom and like shit like that. Or like why are they angry? Like there's no they question that they shouldn't be angry. That's another thing that like if you question that, you literally don't think Palestinians are humans. You're not giving them that agency that of being like human, being angry that your fucking family died, or like being angry that your home just literally that you lived in generations and generations is just taken away by some fucking dude from New York or from like Poland, right? Like this
Moved to live
rage
there
is
and land to increase the Jewish population.
yeah. That's this fucking policy, and but Palestinians can't come back. They're not allowed to come back. So imagine like this. I get it. If to a lot of like the West, it's uncomfortable to talk about October 7th as a part of many things, because like as Zionist propaganda has been done to them, like it's not right to. You have to like focus only on that.
Because when
So
two
like
parties
because
about
they
this,
know,
like pro con, when they discuss it, they always go back to that on this side.
yeah. We see it as like just chapter fucking 76 of the shit that the Palestinians have been going through. So it's a
And then Western
conversation.
media here, it's like the
If
beginning, and all the Palestinians are
like, oh, Hamas started
terrorists
it.
or
They say
terrorist
Hamas started
supporters,
it.
and they deserved it because Hamas started. Yeah.
Yeah, like they say, like look at the language. Hamas started it
Mm-hmm.
a month ago. Like look at how many Palestinians got killed a month during the month from that,
From
away
the
from like
seven.
a month before it. Like how many Palestinians got killed, How many houses have been like? How many have been displaced? How many have been taken as prisoners when they're actually hostages? How many have children have been like murdered? Like how many settlers have forced at gunpoint entire villages to leave? Like they don't want to talk about it because they know they're so afraid that it's gonna sound like October 7th is justified, right? That's like they don't want to, they really don't want to go there. And it's just like it's just literally, it was just like you want to analyze the situation, and in reality, we have to talk about it. We have to. There's a reason why this happened.
Mm-hmm.
There. It's not because they hate Jews, like I said before. Like that's what they wanted to say. Like, oh, they just hate Jews. These Nazis, they just hate Jews. No, because let's let's analyze it properly, and things would make sense. It's not complicated.
But on this side, there's also the people who are pro-Israel are saying that October 7th happening tragedy is what's warranting everything that's going on. Like, I've talked to some people about this stuff. I've shown a little bit of the people who are pro this American support of Israel, and most of the time they're like, oh, that's horrible, and then I'm like, I'm not sure if they're really registering that or they're just trying to, I don't even know what their reaction is, if it's sincere or not. But once it's all said and done, they're like, yes, it's horrible, da da da. Then before the conversation over, when they leave, they say, but what happened on October 7th, they have a right to defend. It's like this. It's like you staple it on,
genocide,
and then everything's like, okay, there's no turning back. It's okay. This is the way it goes. I mean, this is the price of.
There's no there's no
guys.
other way to react.
Yeah, there's no other source. There's no other alternative. There's no other way to handle this situation. This is like the only way to do it, apparently.
Yeah.
And then this is the same group of people who ask the supporters of I want to say human rights, because that's really what it is. The supporters of humanity, when you stand with Palestine, is we're asking it to stop because we can't bear seeing children and families killed and slaughtered and murdered. You know, I was broken when I saw a parent holding in a grocery bag the remains of his child.
Yeah,
I don't want that in my family and for my little one. I don't want, so that's how you don't need to be identical to them, the same religion or faith or nationality. You can relate, 'cause that's horrific. That's horrible. And no one should go through that, especially since they didn't do anything. But all that gets wiped away because this is the only way, they have a right to defend themselves. It's like an excuse button, you know how there's like that button where you're like, oh, it works too hard, just press it, it's all done. It just says, it's all done. Because I saw who's that he's like a Desi Indian guy in England who's really, his name starts with an S. I'm spacing out right now. But I saw they had a hearing, and the lady was saying this is war crimes. The U.S. is supporting war crimes. And I was like, yeah, okay. Then the guy said, yes, we sympathize. Our heart goes out to the Palestinians and everything they loved. I mean, and going forward with their loved ones. But when you hear the but, it's always like, and then they say, but Israel has right to defend itself. Every time I hear that, or do you condone Hamas? And then these people are saying, do you condone killing babies? And I'm like, no, apparently you guys do, because you guys are saying this is the reason why you condone killing babies. And then it gets a standing ovation when they say Israel has the right to defend itself. It's just, it's so stubbornly ignorant and arrogant and cold-hearted and downright evil. And then it's like for some reason there's no rebuttal to it because they say so and they have the power to do it without consequences. and then we the people are voicing stop this killing, stop killing people, and then they just go, all right, we're gonna address it tomorrow or this and that. They have all this money, fly so and so out, and they go. Biden says, I don't believe the numbers. You know, you see any kind of thing, or like Hillary Clinton saying, oh my gosh, if we stop, Hamas will mobilize and make an even heinous attack. I'm like, where's all this stuff coming from? It's all probabilities, maybes, and it's not even like fucking Minority Report where they can see the possible future. They're just making guesses and killing people off of possible guesses of outcomes that are super baseless. I kind of went on a rant there. I forgot where I was originally going.
No.
It's just a lot, man, and it's so crazy how it's like there's a crime, the evidence came out, and the people who are still doing it have a bullshit answer, but the fact that they're saying their bullshit answer is on paper or for record, or their bullshit answer takes precedence over the massive voices screaming and crying for end of this genocide, that definition, no matter what they say, you know, that somehow is trumping all of what everyone's been throwing out there as evidence and proof of this war crimes, prejudice, hatred. It's like, I share it all the time. And then what, they don't see it? I think they just, I feel like part of them has to know how bad this is, and then they're trying to just make it look like they know what they're doing, whether how stupid it is or not, just so until their genocide is complete.
Yeah.
Because they've been going nonstop, bombing and killing civilian targets. Flat out saying they're bombing civilian targets, but when it's on Western media, they're like, no, look at this little graph we got from Metal Gear Solid, and we just circled these boxes, and this is the enemy base, And I'm like, what?
They don't question it. They would like, that's when you know that like they really got the media like on like by the balls. They don't question anything. Like they just take everything by face value. Whatever Israel says, yeah, sure, of course. Like, of course, yeah. It's there's like, you know, Hamas inside a like bakery. Of course, like that's why they bombed it. Like, guys, come on, Israel. It's Israel. We know it. Like they never lie. They never like. It's all about like no. Like, do you see that thing where from CNN? What's his name? I think his name is Farid Zakaria, one of the like main people of CNN. He was
no, I don't
he tweeted out or like he was saying that the IDF made CNN like agree to terms that if they go in, like CNN goes in to Gaza with the IDF and they receive like protection, then all footage, everything from CNN has to go through the IDF for their approval, for every other approval before it gets published in CNN. And CNN agreed to their terms.
Wow.
So like now, basically, CNN is straight up Israel war propagandists. Anything that comes out of CNN now is 100%. It's already that, but like now it's confirmed that 100%. That's what anyone who views CNN is. This is what they're gonna see. Is a glorified like image of the IDF while they go in and massacring Palestinians. That's how dehumanized Palestinians are.
Wow. That's straight out of the comic books, man.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
like
it
crazy.
Is. It's straight up like it's like comical villains like. like I'm not saying like we're perfect or like people are like, we know how shitty the world is. We know that, like,
Mhm.
but like Israel is just tainted like the world even further.
Man. Now, I got a comment on one of my ceasefire now posts on Instagram, and oh no, yeah, it was a post about the last discussion we had. Now this person earlier was coming at me for one of my first posts of like Free Palestine and I stand with Palestine and all that. So the response was something like, how could you, because the October 7th and they need to defend themselves, the whole thing. And my response was, yeah, but this is the wrong way. If you're going to go after people who committed a crime, go after people who committed a crime. Don't out crime the crime and kill, because I'm against killing all children, all civilians, and this is the wrong way to go about it. Even I know Putin is supporting Palestine, which is good.
Yeah,
it's good to
yeah,
support
but like
Palestine.
with like
Yeah.
politics,
But
optics,
he-
like
yeah, I'm saying even he targeted civilians, right or wrong his path.
yeah,
That's not right. I'm not
yeah,
casting judgment on the guy, but that was
yeah,
not a right thing to do. But I am
yeah,
not going to ignore the fact that he's doing a good thing,
right now,
supporting
yeah,
Palestine. But I think he
yeah,
should answer for those things. But the problem is,
yeah,
um, whatever you think of Putin, our president is worse
yeah,
because he's actively
yeah,
killing children, actively supporting killing all these people. So, so back then I just said I don't support killing any civilian, whatever, and that person left me alone. Then today, that same person replied to one of my posts about, stop killing children, stop the genocide, and they said, well, I just care about getting the hostages, Israeli hostages, out of Gaza, and they made fun of my hat that I should wake up, or my hat doesn't mean a thing, end the
yeah.
hate, and
That's
that
that's
was
such a
weird.
Zionist
So I
tactic.
had right, and this is an
Yeah, yeah,
American.
yeah. And it's part of the Zionist playbook. It's part of the Zionist playbook. It's official. This is officially like now it's out
So
there.
you've heard this type
We've
of
seen it.
reaction before.
Yeah, yeah. And they say like our reaction to this is because of hate. It's always like that. You've been seeing it for decades, right? But like they organize it a response mechanism even like further better. Like now, like it's been known now. They always throw that like we're driven by hate. Like it immediately. You notice that they went after your and the hate
Mm-hmm.
hat. So like it's like I don't know, like if you want to release it doesn't seem like they want to release the hostages. I mean, I'm like you don't kill like if where have you seen ever the good guys killing babies to force the people to release hostages? I've never seen anything like this ever. Like not Genghis Khan, who like what other like Rome, like what like not like it's not a it's not like something logical. You don't if you're killing babies to force them to for them to release the hostages. I want them to think this through again and again. Like this is like beyond terrorism, right? They have the technology, they have the everything, they have the expertise, they have everything to go in and like you know figure out where Hamas is, because apparently they know where Hamas is everywhere, but they can't find the hostages. Right. Like
Right?
apparently
They
because
know
they're bombing
exactly where the
everything and they're like,
hostages are and the weapons that they're using, and at the expense of the people, and they're bombing every single site because, dude, Hamas must be like a huge army because they're everywhere apparently.
yeah, they're everywhere.
Dang, it's
In
like,
ambulances, they're in bakeries, they're in
but they
like
can't find the hostages. It's just like there's a lot of things that don't add up. I think uh uh, now, okay, another thing though, um the hostages that are there, they should be released, no? Just in general.
yeah.
'Cause
I mean,
that's wrong. But
but like
either way, if they
I'm
have
not.
all this stuff,
I'm gonna sound like whatever. It's Israel has hostages too.
yeah, I was
Palestinian
about to get to
hostages
that.
over like
Hostages is bad
yeah,
all around, but the thing is, why are we ignoring the fact that Israel has hostages and prisoners
yeah,
who they just pick off the street for being Palestinian? They have
yeah.
not just
There's so
that,
many kids.
they
There's
have
so many kids.
taken mostly boys. Have you noticed that? They've been taking a lot of
Yeah,
sons. And
yeah, yeah.
it was last week, there was a video that went viral and celebrated that they took fathers and sons,
Hmm.
stripped them naked, half naked,
Yeah.
tied
Hmm.
them up, moved them around like just meat at um
Hmm.
a butchery, and
Yeah.
they mutilated them, peed on them, and then some reports say they killed them or imprisoned them again, or just took them to
Yeah.
prison. But that never gets any any it never hits the press here at all. It's like
They would never.
non-existent
They
here.
would never do that. No, because
I have
like
to go out of my
that's
way to see what's going on in the
it,
world from the world, not in this
yeah.
little bubble of America. This bubble made in Israel.
Mm.
It's so crazy. And I'm not
Kojay,
yeah.
you could now publicly make fun of Biden, make fun of Trump, make fun of
Oh, I have
the
a track record of
FBI.
making fun of all
You,
our presidents.
uh, but you cannot like you, I'm not gonna say you can't, but like if you actually go after the Zionist lobby, there might be consequences. There might be like there's something gonna like happen. You demonetized, whatever, suspension, whatever, or like, and depending on how influential you are, the consequence gets bigger.
Hmm.
You could, and I've seen this. Americans boycotted Bud Light. Americans boycotted Nike because they like whatever politics, right? And they said it openly, and you could we boycott WB Warner Brothers openly. We have like the hashtag, but it is illegal to boycott Israel in the United States.
Hmm.
You can't. It's not. You get there. You go to jail or whatever. You lose your like ability to get jobs or whatever. Like, Americans, they need like sometimes like I'm like get, the American awareness towards like their rights, their freedom is way up, right? Like I've seen them like they'll fight for it, they will like protest for it, whatever. Like that one thing, I don't understand. There's like not enough focus to it. It's insane. This is insanity. You
There
can
isn't, because when there
You're
is,
not allowed to attack a foreign country. You're not allowed to like vocalize against a foreign country, but you can do that in your own like for your like country. Here in Qatar, yeah, it's like illegal for me to like really speak out against certain authorities here, right?
hmm
But that's in the country. I could speak about any other country I want, but like it's like that makes sense. That like you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
But in the US, in like now, France wants to propose a law that you could go to prison for 2 years if you criticize Israel.
I heard about
In
that.
Germany, it's the same. In Germany, it's like it's fucking ridiculous. Like that's fascism. Fascism in a different like. It's fascism. Like no, it's not.
Yep.
But it is fascism, and Israel is like the ruling entity, the power entity over all of the West.
Mm-hmm.
Not being anti-Semitic. It's not against Jews. Like this is reality of the situation. Zionists are that. They are that thing. They are that evil being.
What, the new Nazi? That's the term I hear.
It is.
I see
It
it.
is. It is.
It is.
It is. Like there's nothing. Everything. When you
It's like the N just
hear,
fell over and turned into a Z.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Oh.
Like listen to their rhetoric. Now you have
Even the
the
symbol
means to find
of
right.
Nazis is something taken from India and turned sideways, like a cross upside down. You
Yeah,
know, they take the
yeah.
Star of David and it's in the middle, but according to the rabbis who are passionate about Judaism and are against Zionism, are pointing out that it's wrong. So it's like, you know how like the whole idea of evil cults, and they just take symbols from other places to self-empower them because they're using it as like an excuse to do whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Ugh. I was gonna ask you something, John.
Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead, because
No, I'm trying to
I have to
remember
go
it.
soon.
Oh yeah. Yo, I don't know what else you want to get off your chest about this.
No, that's that's for it for today. For now, for this
Okay.
hour.
Have you heard
We're
anything
gonna
new
see
right
some
now?
more like atrocities. Hmm?
Have you heard anything new? Because they cut off communications on and off. Is it still off over there?
Like I've been to be honest, like for mental health, I've been trying to like avoid as much as I can. Like I'll try see like I don't seek the news. If the news comes to me,
Gotcha.
then I'll like get it. Like but like seeking it, I'm uh, there's a certain level like I don't know how much I could take more of these images.
Yeah.
I don't know how like, it's too much. I skip when people. That's why you see like my stories. It's I don't post the like graphic stuff that's happening. I'm like I'll let that stuff other people do it because I can't handle it. I just can't. Like literally, I can't. I like the only what I could do is focus on the ideas, like and you know awareness on what the Zionist state is really all about. And like what they have been doing all this time and like how much influence they have on like Americans' minds and like the English mind and the Western mind and where it's all rooted. Uh, that's the extent I could like go. I
No, that makes sense.
I'm like getting nightmares. I'm not like trying to like like their suffering is beyond my comprehension. So like
No, I understand that.
they're like all I could say is they're fucking strong. They're fucking strong. They're fucking heroes.
Hell yeah.
Like that's all I could like.
See, I always feel this way. You know how I said last time I feel defeated. I feel more just winded, and I'm shocked at how much of a struggle it is to show the obvious. You know,
Yeah.
it's like there's a
Yeah.
stubbornness and from our political leaders who are not budging and sticking to whatever excuse they make to brush away the atrocities that are blatant and horrific. It's almost like they purposely don't want to show that they understand. You know, they just need to keep this war machine going forward, and that's all they care about.
Yeah, they keep saying that Hamas. This is what Hamas wants, that for us to stop killing children and whatever. I don't know. It seems like the more they continue doing it, the more disgusted the world is towards them, the more hate there is towards them, and the more they see them as monsters. And like slowly, the world, minus the Western world, like the rest of the world, is like slowly just like, yeah, we're done with this. We can't like, people are like, countries are like cutting diplomatic ties with Israel slowly. Like the biggest one so far for me is South Africa. That was a big one. So like, if you think about it, Hamas is more benefiting from that, from just, like Israel's bloodlust,
Mm.
then you know.
Israel's just turned into the biggest villain ever. And well, it sounds like they just always been. But this
They have always been.
scale,
They have always
it's
been,
like
yeah.
the scale is the feat of villainy that it's like they're trying to top past villains or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they got
I
pop
know.
stars singing it.
Yeah. They got like, yeah, they're laughing about it. They're, you know, it's like, I don't, yeah, I don't know. Like very like very the definition of like, you know, evil. Like there's no, it's not complicated. Like they're very like standard to it too. Like my fear, what I think about what I fear is like, okay, like they're they are like, you know, doing this, right? They're cheering. The West is cheering for this genocide. They have all the means, the propaganda, the media behind them. They have a few influencers here and there, like and Israel's doing whatever it wants, right? Like, where is there a line? Like, I don't think there is like a line where everyone, like even like where America, UK, and whatever, they're like, okay, in Israel, this is enough. I've never seen it. I've never seen anything like any form of line. So when they reach that point, like where like Israel's like, okay, I want to go and fuck up the rest of the Middle East, which they have been saying too. It's not like it's not a secret. They have been saying like, oh, we want like
Well, they
we
started bombing Lebanon and
our
Syria, right?
right. No, our right is from like Iraq to like the Euphrates to something. Like they have this saying, I forgot what it was. Like they have like they have ownership. They believe they have ownership of all this like land from Iraq to like. So what would stop them? Nothing would stop them. The West would continue cheering. The West would continue funding them. So it's like it is this, like it's getting scary for people like me. Like
I think people who are
we
all
don't know.
against this genocide is scary for us too. You know?
Yeah. We know there's no line. Like it's clear there's no line. Like it's clear that.
And no vote even. People have no say. These guys are just gonna do it. So that reminds me of my question. With how tragically far this has gone and people are aware and all that, but it hasn't stopped the killing. What do you see the good that can happen from where we are and the bad?
like the good is I'm seeing the idea of like what Israel is beyond. It went beyond where we're at. It's like it used to be contained to in our region, like of what like the real image of Israel. Now it's everywhere. Now it's like people are fighting against the propaganda. Yes, like we've been talking about how strong the propaganda is, how like deep rooted it is. But now, but there, people are getting more aware of this, and they're fighting it. That's and people are getting involved in boycotting. Boycotting was always only restricted for here. I've seen like whenever shit happens, like in Palestine, whatever, and we go into this boycott campaign. It's only in the Middle East. I'm seeing it in the US. I'm seeing it in the UK. I'm seeing it in like all these countries. That's like it's.
I'm doing it too. Like I was picking up my
Yeah.
lunch and some chips today, and I looked at the back and I saw one of the companies was Lay's and Frito-Lay, and I was like, "Oh, I can't do it."
Yeah.
So I went with the other brand. But it's okay. I'm cheap. I go dollar store. Most of my stuff's from Mexico and all that. But wow, I like that more people are doing it. You know, like
Yeah, there are more people
like
doing it.
a lot of us are unfucking ourselves. You know, excuse
Yeah.
my language,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
there is a condition that we were definitely accustomed to here of either taking a side or comfortably turning a blind eye.
Yeah.
And it's to the
Yeah.
point where I feel like people are purposely going with like that staple, oh, they're right to defend themselves, ignore all the bad that is along with that defense, and just go with that and go on your day and just forget about the rest of what's going on. And so the bad with this not stopping, what do you think the bad is?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, like what's what like what there's no line, and Israel can do anything it wants whenever it wants, and literally it's like it affects the safety of the planet. Like the security of the planet, the entire world is in jeopardy because of Israel. Right. Tomorrow they could be like, yeah, there's Hamas in parts of Jordan. That's all they need to say. That's all they need to say. I mean,
And
like,
they just
it
bomb
doesn't have to be
Jordan.
true, whatever. Yeah, and they'll just bomb the shit out of Jordan and take parts of it. Like, yeah, it does violate every single international law there, but like, if again, international law does not apply to the West. It applies to the global South to control us. You see those the International Criminal Court, whatever, whatever the you don't see people from the UK, from Germany. I don't know, maybe not, but like the US.
Yeah.
You'll never see that. You'll see Africans, you'll see Middle Eastern, you'll see like Eastern Europe, which aren't considered part of like whatever, but like you never see like it's not this international court, criminal court, international law, UN is made just for us to control us basically. That's what it is. Scary.
It is. And as an American, I feel very, very disappointed and ashamed of what I thought was good, what represented good here. And there's a lot of us that don't agree with it, as you see in the protests, but they're not listening to us. They're just trying to shut us up or buy us over one way or another, or ignore us and keep going forward.
Oh, they were like, I think they're gonna ignore.
Yeah.
But there is effects to that. There is still effects to that, like positive effects. Like it is constantly sending a message.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Like, all right, yeah, I gotta bounce.
Yeah.
Go back.
No, thank you. What you just
Well, like,
is this your break from at work?
yeah,
Oh,
I'm
you're
on
not
break,
gonna
so
get
I
in
have to
trouble,
like,
man.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
No, thank you for spending time with me, man. Talking this, I don't know.
No, thank you for having
I'll
this.
do this as much as I can. I'm just this has to stop somehow.
All
Yeah.
I'm seeing is it's just escalating. Anyways,
Well, river to the sea.
we'll see. Hopefully today just goes by with minimal genocidal fucking shit.
Yeah. I want it to stop. We need a ceasefire now.
Yeah. Ceasefire
Yeah.
and free Palestine.
Yep. River to the sea. Palestine will be free.
River to the sea. Exactly.
And I see it now.
I'll see you later.
All right. Take care, brother. I love you, man. You have a good day. We'll talk soon,
You
huh?
too. Soon.
Later. Pardon my energy, ladies and gentlemen. It's heavy. It's a lot. I'm worried about this. I don't like this. Um, uh, I'll go to sharing some videos, and then we'll call it. We'll end it there. I really want this to stop. I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know how many lives are going to take until the people killing these innocent people will be enough, you know? So keep talking about this, keep being aware about this. Earlier when I was talking with Hamad, I mentioned that person who criticized this and said that they just care about the hostages. Now, when people respond like in that fact, well, I just want to focus on the hostages. They're already saying that the lives of these innocent civilians, men, women, and children, babies, don't matter because the means justify the ends, apparently. And that's incorrect. There's a right way to go about things that are problematic, and it may be hard, but you have to do the right things for the right reasons. Because what else are we fighting for? Because then what you're doing, if you fight evil, so to speak, and you do it with evil, like out evil, that makes no sense whatsoever. And we have to keep sharing. Now, I saw on Instagram this one guy made a really good I'm very horrible with mentioning names at this hour, so bear with me. But the information is going to be in the links below. I'm tired as hell. But it's really important I get these videos up because I'm trying to spread awareness. And like he was saying in that video is that it's whatever your engagement is with whoever you can, we need to spread awareness that this is wrong. Taking innocent lives is wrong. That's not how I've said it before a lot of times. This is not justice. And it might sound like a broken record, but the message isn't getting across. This plea, it's not like a request that people want for themselves. It's what they want for everyone else. It's calling out a wrongdoing to a superpowers. And if you can't listen to people of the wrongdoing you're doing, then it's just an ugly realization that, you know, the bad guys are in our home. And I don't like that. So I'm going to share with you. Let me bring it up. More things I find. Now, I encourage everyone to check out my Instagram. The Instagram traffic is a little weird because I've been getting warnings and signs saying that, oh, my thing's going to be canceled if I start speaking out on this. And some of my videos or content has been deleted. So I'm just sharing and not trying to take anyone's work and copyright. This is literally to help save people. And thank you for taking the time to hear me out here, Hamad, and checking out the links below. More voices, more awareness, the better, because the ignorance is costing people's lives. People. It bothers me to the core. Families are hurt for no reason. It bothers me to the core that I'm finding out that hospitals, ambulances are being shot by rockets right when they arrive and to the hospital with injured people. And we have mothers giving birth, children dying as they're born or before they're born. We have mothers dying in childbirth, both mother and child dying, and with no resources, electricity at the hospitals. Women are having C-sections without anesthesia. Ladies and gentlemen, the magnitude of this destruction of aiming at civilians, Gaza, Palestine has no defense, no air defense. This makes no sense. There's no. I've heard only excuses, no strategy, no means to an end, no details until later because they're trying to cover up their tracks. So let me bring this up. So bear with me for a little bit. So I think it's on here. Okay. I hope you're all doing well wherever you are. I'm praying for Palestine. So this gentleman's name is Owen Jones. Came across his content via a good friend of mine who this guy Owen Jones has been covering a lot of information about Gaza, and he shares my views that targeting civilians is wrong. And thing is, I'm being my own journalist. You have to be your own journalist. You have to go out and get all the information from everywhere. Because the crazy thing about this is that the truth of the matter of the extent of these issues, this genocide, it's not a war. And guess what? I don't feel like I have to stress the details of that, because when you do the homework yourself, it doesn't take long to get the full story. This has been going on for a long time, 75 years occupation. And it's like available. So the thing is, like that person who insulted me and took digs at me, you know, when they said, yeah, I just want to focus on this and ignore the travesty happening to men, women, and children, and killing babies. Like, they're condoning killing babies. But it's like when they say, like, I just want to focus on one thing, Israel has the right to defend itself, and then take a dig at me. But it's kind of like, it's kind of like someone who says, okay, they're going to tell you something, right? And they started off with saying, I don't want to sound racist, but, and then they said something completely racist, you know? So like when, you know, you get some guy in parliament in the UK going, I sympathize with the Palestinians, but their loss is tragic, but it's just like that. And then they say the thing, what they're for, and then they continue pressing the button, killing innocent civilians, using illegal weapons, suffer assaults. Hello, people. Seriously, if this hits you and you're not fazed or don't care or you side with that, any story, any holy book, as I said before, it means nothing anymore to you. You've learned nothing. Especially Christians. Jesus Christ was a Palestinian. Don't let the commercialization of turning Jesus Christ blonde-eyed, blue eyes. Oh, blonde-eyed, blue eyes. Blonde eyes, blonde hair. No, blue eyes, blonde hair, or light brown hair, or whatever, fair complexion and all that. The early paintings of Jesus Christ was a lot closer to his look. And he left Palestine when he was 2 years old, from what the pastor taught us. And that is, I'm trying to fix this so it's not, okay, I think I have to do it that way. Why can't I get rid of this part right here? One moment. I do apologize. Technical difficulties. But, well, okay, I want to finish the story. So this person who, not recently, but when they challenged my stance, by the way, asking for people to not die, I don't understand how that offends people. Standing up for innocent people and pleading for them to not be killed, I don't know how that offends people. See, there's a big problem there, huge moral problem there, and that affects our humanity. This is unhealthy, and this is probably what fuels war. So, I guess I have to do it like this. There we go. That's how it'll work. Thank you, technology. So we're going to share Owen's video here. I'll put links below to find his YouTube channel, and like and subscribe to him. And I like how he breaks this down. There we go. All right. And "19 minutes, but this is really good."
Those politicians and commentators in countries such as my own who oppose a ceasefire, who therefore support Israel's onslaught against Gaza, which they must know will end in the deaths of tens of thousands of innocent people, they are suddenly in a grimly triumphant mood. They are, many of them, deep down aware of the moral obscenity that they are cheering on. They are aware of the approaching 10,000 Palestinians who've been killed in less than a month, including 3,760 children, more than the total annual number of children killed in all conflicts in the last 5 years. In the space of a month, a death toll that will stand around quarter of the total civilian death toll in the Bosnian War of the 1990s, which took place over 3 years. And bear in mind, Bosnia had twice the pre-war population of Gaza. They know that the claims Israel is circulating, that they are avoiding targeting civilians, are an absurd and frankly disgusting nonsense, belied by what Israel's leaders themselves are saying in public, which I'll come on to. But suffice it to say, they could hardly be less subtle unless Benjamin Netanyahu himself appeared on international television with a neon sign attached to his head inscribed with "We are committing war crimes against innocent people." They are aware of the schools, the the hospitals, the refugee camps being bombed, the countless aid workers, UN officials and journalists who've been killed, the entire generations of families wiped from the face of the earth, the collapse of the healthcare system, the lack of clean water and food, the fact that Gaza is in short being turned into a killing field, a mass grave, and we are only in the first few weeks of what could be many, many months to come. The eventual death toll from both direct violence and the collapse of the healthcare system, lack of essentials, the spread of illness. I don't even want to think about it, frankly. It is too terrifying to even contemplate. But mark my words, it will be pinned on those who cheered this atrocity on. Now, deep down, they are aware, as I say, of the obscenity that they are cheering on. So they spend time, some of them, scouring through social media to try and find this or that extremist attaching themselves to the Palestinian cause so they can tile the whole movement and claim that the real morally bankrupt extremists are those who oppose the mass slaughter of children, rather than those who support what is, in practice, the mass slaughter of innocent people, including so many kids. Or, in the latest case, the lifeline they think has been presented to them is a television interview involving a Hamas official. Now, a decade ago, Ghazi Hamad was Hamas's deputy foreign minister, and he remains on its political bureau. And in this interview, he says Israel is a country that has no place on our land. We must remove that country, calls it a terminal threat to the Arab nation, says Israel must be taught a lesson that the atrocities Hamas committed on the 7th of October will be repeated a second, a third, a fourth time. Blood-curdling stuff, bearing in mind that on the 7th of October, Hamas committed terrible crimes against humanity. No question about that whatsoever, which is what the murder of innocent civilians and the kidnap of innocent civilians constitutes, for which there is absolutely no defense of any description. So the video that has been shared of this interview all over social media by supporters of this massive atrocity taking place is used to explain why they have no choice but to back a military onslaught causing, I repeat, death on a mass scale every single day. Now, firstly, those taking this position are clearly and unambiguously saying that Palestinian life either matters very little or not meaningfully at all. Let me explain. On the 7th of October, 1,200 Israelis were killed, at least 1,000 of them civilians. That is very correctly understood as an intolerable death toll. The idea that another 1,000 Israeli civilians could be murdered is rightly considered absolutely and completely unacceptable and intolerable. This does not apply to Palestinian life. Self-evidently doesn't apply to Palestinian life. Around 10 times as many Palestinians have now been killed as those Israelis who were so brutally killed on the 7th of October. 10 times the death toll, which was quite correctly seen as intolerably high, with no limit to that death toll in sight. Now, so we are rightly being asked to give value to Israeli civilian life, as we should, that even one more Israeli civilian death would be a moral outrage, but we can keep endlessly piling up the bodies of Palestinians, including children, toddlers, newborn babies who are being handed their death certificates before their birth certificates, with defenders of this atrocity refusing to say just how many Palestinian lives they're willing to sacrifice. 10,000 is more than fine, apparently. What is it? 20,000, 50,000, 100,000? Now, nobody thinks, and we should just
So taking a pause here. Again, not plagiarizing. I just need to share this because we have to get the word out. No one should condone any crimes to any innocent civilians. Any crimes against humanity is wrong. I don't care who you are, what you're doing it for. People do bad things for good causes and do bad things for bad causes. And sometimes they do a little bit of both because someone wants to focus on one or the other, and they think one side is necessary to do this bad atrocity in order to get, like I'm saying, the ends do not justify the means. We have to invest everything we do in doing the right thing. That's why when they say it's harder to do good and easier to do bad, because to do good, you have to do a lot of effort to make sure no one gets hurt, nothing wrong is done in doing something that will benefit yourself and others. in a good way. Now, you see a crime happen, and the criminal, you get whatever crime you want, just an atrocious event of like killing, let's say, 5 people, and then the killer runs into a town, a little suburb area, and you can't find him. And then the authorities are like, oh, he's right there. Well, we know he's in that area, so let's send a bomb to destroy a perimeter of 10 miles, and then we say we got him. What about the civilians? He was using them as human shields, or they were protecting him, so they deserve it. It was their fault because he was there. Now, on top of that, you have a society and a government promoting and advertising that the people they are oppressing are not even human, are not even worthwhile. And they're cheering on their deaths, they're mocking it. And they even make rules in their own area to those people for being those people, giving firearms to civilians to take out those people at will. And that you can take their property, their cars, and bully them. You can even kill them and all that. Now, that, again, it's like you can, it's like taking anything that happens bad just to encourage the continuous planned abuse and prejudice and hatred and killing of another people, and carry on forth with that, with even more atrocities, even more killings, or more murder. This is why this is a genocide, because there's no war going back and forth. They're just killing people because they can. They outpower them. And I mean, this is like a school shooting on a massive scale, and it's evil as that. I just can't believe it. So we'll go back to Owens here, and carry on.
Be clear that a ceasefire now would trigger Hamas suddenly marching back over the border to repeat the atrocities they committed. That is clearly impossible. But the idea, therefore, being presented is that they would use the ceasefire to prepare themselves to do it all over again. Now, we must emphasize, and it cannot be forgotten, that 7th of October was in large part a story of Israeli security failure, which quite understandably has caused massive uproar in Israeli society. Are we really expected to believe that the Israeli state is going to leave its southern communities undefended against a repeat attempt? Hamas was by all accounts completely taken by surprise, because they didn't expect to get anywhere near as far as they did because of the weak Israeli defenses on offer. Whatever happens, I think we know and can take for granted there's going to be a massive permanent Israeli armed presence in the south with an endless amount of other security measures. So we are being asked, and would you just be honest about it? That is the truth. We're being asked to endlessly sacrifice Palestinian lives for the repeat of an eventuality which, frankly, is going to be rendered completely impractical. Indeed, this is the other point, an absolute key point. The diabolical rhetoric of this Hamas official is being used as evidence, quite rightly, of mass murderous intent. And it is being used to underline that Hamas intends or seeks to destroy Israel. Let's be blunt here. Hamas has absolutely no chance whatsoever, no capacity to destroy Israel whatsoever. Absolutely zero. Israel, on the other hand, does have the capacity to destroy Gaza. We know it has the capacity because it's currently destroying Gaza. In order to prevent a hypothetical impossibility of Israel being destroyed by Hamas, we are being asked to support an actual reality of Gaza being destroyed by Israel, bearing in mind Palestine as a nation isn't even allowed to exist because of generations of refusal by Israel to allow the national self-determination of the Palestinian people. And indeed, Israeli leaders themselves are using murderous language, which has been condemned for having genocidal intent, and indeed condemned by UN officials and genocide experts for being in practice a genocide. You may agree or disagree, but many experts, including those who have worked in actual genocides and spent their lives studying genocides, that's the conclusion they've come to. Netanyahu, for example, citing Amalek in the Bible to justify the war in Gaza, which calls for the mass execution of men, women, children, and livestock, that passage. Imagine a Muslim leader in a war used a Quranic verse to justify that war involving the mass slaughter of men, women, children, and livestock. Can you imagine the response to that? Now, we know Israeli officials are saying in public that their aim is damage, not accuracy. We know Israeli officials have called for Gaza to be reduced to a city of tents. That is, all buildings destroyed. We know the defense minister has said Gaza won't return to what it was before. We will eliminate everything. And when he was justifying a total siege, including cutting off all water, food, electricity, medicines, the work, he said that Israel was fighting human animals. We know that one Israeli minister, Ahmed Eldin, yesterday called for the complete destruction of Gaza, calling for it to be replaced with beach condos. We know another Likud politician who was until recently a minister said, erase all of Gaza from the face of the earth, that the Gazan monsters will fly to the southern fence and try to enter Egyptian territory, or they will die and their death will be evil. Gaza should be erased. We know one of their top military lawyers said, if you want to destroy Hamas, then you have to destroy Gaza, because everything in Gaza, almost every building there, is a stronghold of Hamas. We know that the Israeli president, Isaac Herzog, said, it's an entire nation out there it's responsible. The rhetoric about civilians not being aware, not involved is absolutely not true. They could have risen up. They could have fought against that evil regime. The language of collective guilt, which is always the prerequisite for mass slaughter. Nissim Vataru, another politician, a member of the ruling Likud party, who talked of erasing the Gaza Strip from the face of the earth. There's a leaked plan for one government ministry to permanently remove all of Gaza's population, something various Israeli politicians have long spoke about, and Egypt keeps publicly warning Israel intends to do. The point I'm making is the murderous destruction of Gaza is not just a hypothetical backed up by genocidal language, which I think we can safely describe much of that language. It's a reality. Hamas and Israel may threaten both terrible mass murder, but only one has the actual capacity to follow through on their threats, and it is doing it. It is wiping out Gaza, and it is actively armed and backed by our governments in the process, which Hamas clearly is not. Now, there's another point that Israel is doubling down on a strategy which is taken to the nth degree, which has only succeeded ever in bolstering extremism, not just in Gaza, but elsewhere as well. Now, Mohammed Shahada has spoken publicly. He's a very interesting person who should be followed on social media. And he said that he once debated Hamad, this Hamas official. And Hamad said the two-state solution had become impossible and Israel would never agree to it. Shahada said that when he challenged Hamad about Hamas not renouncing violence and negotiating peace, the response was the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, and Mahmoud Abbas, who is the president who runs the West Bank, did all this and more but got nothing and are being humiliated and demonized. Goes on to say, I retorted to Hamad that they should agree to PA elections to let Palestinians choose their leaders, and his reply was elections for what? The weakened, empty husk of the Palestinian Authority. And he went on about how Israel gives the PA no real control and withholds its revenue. Now, over a decade ago, this Hamas official, everyone is circulating, publicly backed a two-state solution. Now, we know the PLO abandoned the armed struggle in the early 90s and embraced peace, and they got nothing to show for it. Just more occupation in terms of the West Bank continuing, the humiliation that involved the theft of their land, the things like mass incarceration, torture, people being arrested and detained without charge, the colonization, the settlements, which are illegal international law, drastically expanded year after year. And that's why so many Palestinians ended up driven to the arms of Hamas in the first place. A non-violent strategy, when it was embraced, such as the Great March of Return, was fired on by Israelis, soldiers, with mass deaths as a consequence. And we know Israel strengthened Hamas to weaken the Palestinian national movement, as Benjamin Netanyahu was quoted by Haaretz, the leading respected Israeli newspaper. Anyone who wants to foil the establishment of a Palestinian state needs to support the strengthening of Hamas and the transfer of funds to Hamas. Now, we know that Hamas has been repeatedly strengthened by Israeli crackdowns. Before this horror show, before the 7th of October, it wasn't popular. Polling showed that 44% of those in Gaza had no trust at all in Hamas, followed by not a lot of trust at 23%. Only 29% expressed either a great deal or quite a lot of trust, for example. Another showed that half of Gazans expressed support for democracy, and equally that 54% favored a two-state solution. That 73% of Gazans favored a peaceful settlement. So there was this potential huge goodwill amongst the population of Gaza. But polling showed that past Israeli crackdowns in Gaza only increased support for Hamas, and none of them have gone anywhere near as far as what's been unleashed against Gaza. Now, counterinsurgencies like this
Gotta get better at that. All right, coming back into it because I think it's fair to break the video because you should see and like and follow all his work. The thing is, I want to bring out this one, which I think was a few days ago, so it's not current. He has a lot of new ones and he does a lot of great interviews, and he breaks it down just like I shared the other video from that independent news source. So it's really eloquating what I wish I could do. I like how he writes it all down, and he's very good at what he does. But the thing is that it's catching you all up with what I feel is very important to know and understand, because when I am challenged with my stance, my humanitarian stance, and I'm not trying to flex or anything, because I highlight that because that should be important. That should take priority. And I don't understand why it's not. Actually, I do. I just do not accept it. And because I cannot accept it, it shouldn't be allowed. It's all evil. So the thing is, see, I'm also trying to protect my mental health and not get angry. And I am bothered. This is an injustice. And so I feel the best way to address it is without hatred, without anything that is, because hatred is a selfish emotion and it is a lower frequency and it's damaging. So everything I want to do and trying to express and help stop this is always through love, because we need to fight for our humanity. Otherwise, what's the purpose of anything? So the thing is, when people challenge me on my stance, it doesn't bother me because I could see how far along they've gone. Because I really believe that if you do your due diligence and follow up with everything that's happened, the history of Palestine, and you really see the news outside your own comfort zone, outside this commercial revenue, news, entertainment, this narrative, because really they just sell you on narrative. You get few news updates. You're better with local eyewitness news, but honestly, you're better reading, translating everything that's going on out there, because it's all there. The truth is like available. All narratives too, and then when you compare them, you can see the truth of what's going on, and then you have to really look deep inside everything you believe in, and you should question things, and then you'll know exactly what's right and wrong. Now, saying that, I said it's like this whole story, this history and continuous history happening right now, and it's like, think of it like a series, and there's a trailer to that series. What a lot of people have gotten is only the trailer, and the trailer isn't the full story of the movie or a series. And once you get into the full story of the series, let's call it the director's cut, you see the full picture. You see what happened, the bad things done on either side, and the horrible things that are continuously being done on one side with the help of others. And so once you see the whole thing, I'm like me, I made a stance to go against what is wrong. Genocide is wrong. War crimes is wrong. Killing civilians on any side, whoever you are, even if you're doing good things right now, is wrong. And I really believe there needs to be a court system to hold these people accountable and stop this genocide, stop atrocities. And it really feels like who has the bigger guns gets less penalties, and more people die for no reason. More innocent people die. So when someone challenges me, or any of you who are fighting for the same things I'm fighting for, which is people not dying, no killing civilians, no killing children, it's like someone who's only seen the trailer of this little story wants to criticize the story to me after seeing the trailer, the whole series, the director's cut, and up to date. It's like, do you talk to someone about a show that they watched or a story that you experienced but they haven't? Some people like spoilers and they just get a little bit of what you're saying and they go off from there. But I think it shouldn't bother you, or it shouldn't get under your skin. Don't let them get at you when they only know so much. Only fed off the trailer. Only got this studio cut, this alternate version that took out the other side, the rest of the story, the full picture. And it's not easy to it's not easy to win a conversation. You shouldn't be trying to win a conversation. You should be conversing to have revelation, understanding, find truth. But it feels like when someone gets under your skin, for some reason, there's this part where you feel like you need defense and win the conversation in order to defend yourself. And people will insult you. Like, I had another, like, I made a comment on, I think, an Instagram post. And I said, yeah, they should put, like, our President Biden and a bunch of other people who are supporting this genocide. I feel they should go on trial, honestly. Removed from office, go on trial. There's people in line to take care of the government and go down line and stop this, because these war crimes cannot go. And they are war crimes. I think they sugarcoat a lot of definitions, and I've said this before, so I'm not going to be too much of a broken record to you. But I think they label it a certain way so they can get away with the crimes that they're doing. And it's all to make money for their war industry, that business, that market. So it's a lot. So when people try to get under your skin, because on that comment, I did have a good conversation with someone who's like, oh, well, you shouldn't really call Putin a war criminal because he hasn't gone to the lengths of these people. And, he is right. I don't think bombing civilians is right at all, and there should be some consequences for that. And just as any crime. But I do see the goodwill of helping people too. And that should go with reward as well. The thing is, you have a trial to find that balance and justice. And you have to trust in that. And that needs to be established somehow. I just don't know how it's going to do it. Because then, the idea is that, balance and justice will be handled. But there's an imbalance here. And there's an unfairness. And there's a cruelty. So, you have to forgive me the hour. I'm trying to do my best here. It's like 2:48 a.m. So anyways, I had another individual call me a bad name and said, well, if you believe this, then you must be this. And I was like, they don't know me. Out of one thing, you're going to know somebody. But they were really defensive over their viewpoint that I offended with my little statement. So this person wasn't talking to me with understanding like the other person. We came to a mutual understanding. Okay, cool. This is all a mess. So my comment, and then another person made a big comment saying, well, you shouldn't do him. This is bad. This is what's going on. And I agree with everything they said. And I said, actually, I was going for this. This is what I mean. Because, again, you could read and say anything on social media. But you don't get the tone. And I think that helps. But having a conversation, you could find that tone if you respect each other. And towards the end, we're like, hey, we should really be in this together. We shouldn't be fighting at all. And we had a healthy conversation, and it's like we mended the problem or any tension or misunderstanding that was there, because a lot of that happens. We're human. We're not perfect. But there was a willingness from both sides to work out the problem. And then there was a mutual respect for each other and an understanding of what really matters. And we agreed that, we shouldn't be fighting each other. We should be helping ceasefire now, end the genocide, stop the genocide. And that was beautiful. Yet this other person, I feel like their demeanor was disrespectful. They just wanted to attack me after something I offend. Now I understand, I might say something that offends someone. I don't mean to hurt feelings. And if I go too far or if I'm wrong, call me out and we'll talk it over. We'll understand each other. And I realized I was doing that, but I wasn't getting that. I only got insults and slandered back. And then I was stopping at the moment. I was realizing there's a bigger picture here where we're trying to help save human lives and stop heinous crimes. Yet I'm bothered with time talking to someone who's just insulting me because they have to be right about a claim. And it has nothing to do with saving Gaza, freeing Palestine. And I realized, this is a distraction. Some people just want to fight. And then I got a perception of what's happening now. There is, with the first person, we had a little misunderstanding, but we took time to talk to each other, and then there was peace and understanding in the end and clarity. And I took something away from it that I think made me a little bit better of a person, and I hope they did too. And I have feeling, faith, and trust that it did. Yet this other person is just really angry and stuck on pointing fingers and not listening to other people. Then I noticed that, and I realized I'm not going to let that get under my skin. I'm just going to be nice and say goodbye in the most polite way, but still address some stuff, because I don't do it often, but I feel that if you do your best to try to do the right thing, it is hard, but it's worth it, because you don't add fuel to the fire that's burning a lot of things. And the more you practice doing the right thing, the more it's more comfortable and second nature to do. And it should always just honestly be first nature, so that your second nature is always good and doesn't hurt people. So then I was thinking, this issue with the Israeli government and Palestinian people, one side refuses to accept the other as human beings, and they just want to be right, have their way, and attack and instigate. And there's some deal there that our U.S. government and the U.K. and others have, that they will stick by it and all that. And I just can't believe that this is a reality and no one can stop him. So, yeah, let's continue with the video and then a little bit more and then see how we feel there. Thank you for listening to me. Back it up a bit because I was in mid-conversation with what you're saying.
For Hamas, and none of them have gone anywhere near as far as what's been unleashed against Gaza. Now, counterinsurgencies like this do not work. What was the point of so many dying in Afghanistan, so many civilians, and also, it should be noted, US and UK troops, without learning that lesson? 2 decades of counterinsurgency. How did it end? With all the horror involved. It ended with the Taliban stronger than ever before. What about Iraq? When we were told that we had to go in partly because supposedly Al-Qaeda were in cahoots with Saddam Hussein, a nonsense. Go in, drive people into the arms of Al-Qaeda, in terms of much of the Sunni population, have a massive Al-Qaeda insurgency in the 2000s, in the noughties, and then a massive counterinsurgency program. And what ended then? ISIS emerged, which was even more extreme and seized large chunks, large swathes of Iraq and Syria for that matter as well. After 9/11, we were told we have to do something. We have to do something. And those of us who opposed it were seen as morally obscene. And we keep hearing these comparisons. This is Israel's 9/11. Do you think they can't respond to 9/11 like we did? As though we have somehow forgotten the calamity of the response to 9/11. Who looks back at the response to 9/11 and thinks that was a good idea? Afghanistan, Iraq, anyone? What we do all that all over again. Now, the impeding, as Foreign Affairs, this article, and Foreign Affairs, a very prestigious journal, entitled that the invasion of Gaza will be a disaster for Israel, noting that the impending invasion of Gaza will be humanitarian, moral, and strategic catastrophe. It will only badly harm Israel's long-term strategy and inflict unfathomable human costs on Palestinians, but also threaten core US interests. Now, the idea that you go in and just take out the leadership of Hamas and that will vanish is lunacy. Because obviously there is a base for Hamas, which will only expand. Now, either Hamas or something more extreme, as happened in Iraq. You think all those people on a daily basis who are now watching their loved ones being murdered, being slaughtered by bombs, picking up the charred limbs of their children are going to go, oh, okay, I accept Israel now. Scores and scores and scores of recruits for ever greater extremism are being created every single day. Now, as a former US general, David Petraeus says, a military ground offensive by the IDF would last years and involve horrific fighting. He said, it's hard for me to imagine a more difficult setting than this particular one. You don't win counterinsurgency in a year or two. They typically take a decade or more, as we saw in Iraq, as we saw in Afghanistan. Not quite sure why the example of Afghanistan is being used there. Now, the fact is actually Hamas is divided. There's a clear divide in Hamas. So, for example, in their political wing, Ismail Haniyeh from Doha says we want to open a political track towards a Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital. Whilst we hear from Hamad, we will fight till we annihilate Israel. Surely it's the wing which continues to argue for a two-state solution which needs to be bolstered. But who on earth thinks they're going to be bolstered with what's now being inflicted against Gaza? You know who argued for the bolstering of that wing, incidentally, of all people? Tony Blair. In 2017, he spoke of his regret for the boycott imposed on Hamas after they won the Palestinian elections. He said, in retrospect, I think we should have, right at the very beginning, tried to pull Hamas and dialogue and shifted their positions. I think that's where I would be in retrospect. Very sensible. He actually invited the then leader of Hamas to try and broker an end to the siege of Gaza. Not often that I commend Tony Blair, particularly on issues of the Middle East, but he was true. He was absolutely right. Now, a catastrophe awaits us, not just in Gaza, because when Hamas did what they did, they knew what Israel was going to do. Israel are now doing what Hamas intended. They're following the script. You may go, well, that's foolhardy, then it may backfire spectacularly, but clearly that's not the calculation Hamas made. Israel is likely to be dragged into a catastrophic urban war. Its army are clearly not prepared for. The threat is this then spreads to the West Bank, where President Abbas is monumentally unpopular. What about Hezbollah in Lebanon? There's very limited support in Lebanon now for involvement in this war. But what when Israel is its army is trapped in a disastrous urban warfare, and atrocities are mounting, and Arab public anger grows, and Hezbollah could then try and posture as though it's preventing a genocide. They have a huge army, and then it could spread even further. Now, this is a catastrophe. This is a catastrophe, and it's very obvious it's a catastrophe with no obvious end game, no strategy. It's just, if you back it, you should be clear this is vengeance driving it. It's blind vengeance with catastrophic human consequences. Don't think you're backing this because you think it's going to end in peace and security for Israel and Hamas vanishing. That's not going to happen. It's obvious, like Iraq, this will be a catastrophe. And people like me were horribly vindicated in the worst possible way. What do we have to show for it? Blood, blood, and more blood. The cheerleaders of what is now happening are the same people who cheered on Afghanistan, many of them. Afghanistan, a catastrophe. Iraq, a catastrophe. Libya, a catastrophe. None of these wars have been anything other than a catastrophe. Here they are, drenched from top to bottom in blood, demanding yet more blood, acting like they're the learned, wise, sage ones, and we're the extremists divorced from reality. When they keep delivering the same catastrophes over and over and over again, with the same catastrophic results, and never learning, well, we have to go through this absurd period of being treated as extremists who don't have answers, as they casually douse petrol all over the fire, manically screaming, well, we have to do something. We are going to be right again in the worst possible way. It will be miserable, and a catastrophe beckons. But there is not the precedent for the success when you have a state which is clearly monumentally hostile to a population it's inflicting terrible horrors on. Who on earth thinks they're going to be subjugated? The only way they could succeed in that way is to drive the entire population out of Gaza, which some are contemplating. Is that what the so-called moderate liberals are now prepared to countenance? So yeah, there is no good argument against a ceasefire, because the atrocities being committed, the grave atrocities, are those being committed by a military superpower which has the capacity to wipe out vast numbers of civilians who've been completely dehumanized, so we don't even think about the worth of their lives, who are destroying Gaza and who are going to breed even more extremism and spread a conflict even more, which will result in the potential deaths of so many people. Those who support this, who oppose a ceasefire, are complicit in one of the great crimes of our time. And mark my words, we're going to hold you to account, because it is inevitable how this ends, and it is catastrophe. Please like and subscribe. Do support us on patreon.com/Joseph. I'll see you in a bit.
My channel subscription or the channels on my channel. The first one is this young boy who died in an Israeli attack during this, and something beautiful, remarkable has been going on YouTube to support his memory, which you can do as well.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. معكم عوني وفيديو جديد. هدف الفيديو يا اخوان اوكي يا اخوان هدف القناة طبعا نصل 100,000 مشترك و500,000 ومليون، وبإذن الله لل10 مليون، وبدعمكم وبمحبتكم. دعمكم ومحبتكم. اوكي طبعا شكرا على 1000 مشترك وبيس اوت. السلام
want to support this. They are against this government on so many other issues, but especially on this one.
And also, this didn't start on October the 7th. In 1948, Palestinian villages, hundreds of them, were demolished. Thousands of innocent Palestinian men, women and children were slaughtered, and 750,000 Palestinian refugees were created. That's when it started, and it hasn't stopped since.
Want to support this. They are against this.
I encourage you all to look up Nakba. Let me get the spelling for you. So this is it is spelled Nakba, Nakba. Kind of just like how it sounds. This is a time when the Israelis went on a murderous killing spree, killing, assaulting, raping Palestinians. And it is not a secret. It is actually celebrated. And 2 years ago, I've seen videos of and proof of Israelis celebrating the coming of a second Nakba. And then here we are. And I saw a Jewish rabbi. It's in one of the first videos I did that, where he was against this Nakba day. So the wheels in motion to murder these civilians, I believe, has always been the goal. When you do your homework and see it, you'll just, even with that word, and catch up to what's been going and celebrated from the side that's enjoying killing women, men, children, babies. I don't condone that. That's why I take the stance. Now there's let me find this one. Wherever you are in the world, time watching this replay, I hope you're well. Hope you're doing good. What is going on with this? So another good news, Lowkey, someone you should definitely check out. He's a Palestinian brother from I think the UK, and his music is great, and all his music is a lot of good awareness of what he's been through, as any hip-hop artist and music artist for that matter, or artists in general, represents their experiences and stories, and they tell it through their art. And his music is great, and he's singing a lot of great songs for Free Palestine. This guy is a true warrior poet, as I say. But I got the news from him about dock workers in Barcelona are refusing to load ships with military hardware to be sent to Israel. We're seeing people at work protest. Even I saw some areas, some people put a lot of boats to block shipments going out of weapons. That is amazing. But a lot of these things don't make the news because they don't want a lot of people to, I guess, be encouraged to do the right thing. Not a hot take. We have a nice quote here. You don't have to be Palestinian to care about what's happening in Gaza. I stand with Palestine. No one is free until everyone is free. There you go. Just as I go here. Do we have sound for this? Now, I made a short video for Nora, and I was worried something bad had happened to her, but she's been able to post when she can, and she has someone from 15 hours ago, and you should all listen to her. And we have to step it up. We gotta stop this somehow. I'm not gonna give up.
It's been 30 days, almost a month now in Gaza. And if humanity did not work, I need you to find something that works. Look at this as an environmental issue. War crimes are being committed against if you don't care about people, care about the environment. The white phosphorus being thrown in the sea, the amount of pollution that's been happening in the air, sea, and land due to the endless bombings is insane. So if you don't care about humans, care about the environment. If nothing moved you, if you're a feminist, for God's sake, the amount of women suffering right now, whether they're pregnant women who cannot feed their children or give birth properly, or even cannot find the pads for periods during these times. If you don't care about women or the environment, if you care about animals, my cousin is a horse rider, and there are equestrian clubs here in Gaza. And because it's insanely dangerous to get there, the horses have not had access to food or water in almost 30 days now. There are many cats and dogs, stray dogs, that are stuck without any source of water or food.
If humanity isn't enough to stop these atrocities, what's wrong? I don't get it. Seriously, people, we have to, just share all these stories. We gotta talk. We gotta get awareness. We can't let this go by. This is horrible. It's like other things matter than human life. I can't let that go. Now, I'm very known for, or a lot of my following is for this Snyder's DC cinematic universe of comic books. A lot of that doesn't really mean a lot to me right now. A lot of things feel trivial, and then things that I feel I was taking for granted, or like telling my mother how much I love her, being with our little ones, my family, my friends. The things that really matter to us are being robbed from other people that we take for granted. And we're too busy with the little things that shouldn't take precedence over human life. But you know what? People are uniting. We are standing up for this, and we cannot stop. Don't stop sharing. Don't stop talking about this. Let it be known that you stand on the right side. And there's this beautiful performance I saw. It's a haka dance from Indigenous New Zealand. These people got together, and it's a warrior dance, and they shout, then chant what they believe in and strong. It's very in your face because what they stand for, what they live for, is so powerful, and it is very warrior, but it's not hatred. It's strength. It's passion. It's love. It's really owning the ground that you stand upon. And they did one for Palestine. And we'll end it on that. And the answer to this problem isn't what they're doing right now. You go after the individuals with everything you have who are responsible for crimes. People who do crimes get tried and punished for the crimes that they did do. You don't use a crime as a reason to murder more people, to outcrime the crime. And no one stands for that. So keep doing the thing. From river to the sea, Palestine will be free. That's the answer. Because this occupation, whatever's been going on, this whole time for 75 years has only increased and has made death abundant than life. It's ridiculous. So people feel it, and people are against genocide. You should be too. And I don't care if I lose viewers over this. The truth must be said. All right. I wish you well after this. Much love. God bless. And I pray to God that there is, I get news real soon that the genocide stopped.
Go,